This is the Evan Ginsburg Show at villageconnectionradio.com. I am here with lawyer, radio hostess, stand-up comic, being blocked by this mic here, Pam Roth. How are you, Pam?
Fine, thank you. Good morning, Evan.
Long time no see.
Yeah, about 4 minutes.
Yeah, I just did your show. We explored every possible social issue plaguing society. So I'm going to do the one that's most relevant to you right now. What about the comedy police in 2019? Hanging people for jokes they did 30 years ago. And
Okay.
what about all of
I
this?
find that to be really ridiculous. You know something? For many, many years, from probably longer than I'm on this earth, comics have always used anything that was going on in politics as fodder for their comedy. And it was always terrific. And why not? You know something? Because you can take any serious situation and shed a little bit of humor on it. And that's kind of what binds everybody. You cannot take everything so seriously. Not that you can joke about everything, God forbid I wouldn't want anybody right now making any jokes, and there shouldn't be, about, the mass shootings that have been going on. That's not fodder for jokes.
Professional comics will say that anything is fair game, but you have to have the timing and know your audience. People have done... I sat through a Gilbert Gottfried show where he did Holocaust jokes. Bless you. Bless you. She sneezed on the truth. Gilbert Gottfried was doing Holocaust jokes. I'm a Jew, and I was laughing because it was so over the top, ridiculous and in character that you could laugh with it. I've seen black comics do slavery jokes.
You know something? It's
Yeah.
funny that you brought that up about Holocaust jokes. That I'm trying to remember, it was yesterday afternoon. Well, actually, it was either yesterday afternoon or late last night. I just happened to be flipping through the channels on TV, trying to find something just to have like little background noise while I was doing some paperwork, and I came across a PBS station, and which I love, and I hope they never ever stop funding PBS because it is just a phenomenal channel with the shows that they bring forward. But not to digress, there was a special about comedy and about topics that were being brought into the American theater, and a lot of it had to do at the time talking about the Jews and about the Holocaust. And of course they brought up, for instance, Mel Brooks. Mel Brooks did a great parody about, how Jews were being treated. More importantly, Joel Grey. Joel Grey we all know and love, from Yiddish theater.
Right.
And when he did Cabaret, they said that originally when it was being done that it was very controversial because he was doing a musical parody about what was happening in Nazi Germany. And then they showed this part where he's dressed, with the red lipstick on the white face, and he's the MC, and that there was a gorilla. He was dancing with the gorilla, and he's having this love affair with this gorilla, and at the very end, it was like, and she doesn't even look Jewish, or she doesn't look like a Jew. And they said that it was such a time period where anti-Semitism was very much out there.
Today.
Right, like today.
Yes.
And this was out there in Hollywood. And they were wondering, was that pushing the envelope when Joel Grey was doing that? But they had to be very sensitive. And when they first, did it, they thought, okay, well, maybe we should change it a little bit. And so they actually didn't change it that much. He still did it at the very end where he, has his face right next to the gorilla. She's got the lipstick on and an earring. And he's like, and something? Basically, I'm in love with the gorilla. I see her in my eyes. She's the most beautiful person in the world. And at the end, he goes, and she doesn't even look Jewish.
Right.
But, you can always take any topic in history or politics, and politicians and presidents for many, many years have always been material for stand-up comedy. And I don't think
in the producers,
should
Mel Brooks did Springtime for Hitler.
That's right.
Right. A musical number, no less.
And Charlie Chaplin. Look what Charlie Chaplin did many, many years ago when he talked about, and he did his film having to do with the rise of Nazism, in Europe. I don't think comedians should be penalized for what they said or did 3 years ago, 3 weeks ago, or 30 years ago.
It's almost
comedy.
like the comedy police. They'll go back decades, find a joke that
Offended
today
somebody.
would offend people,
Right.
and judge them for it. And
I think as a society we've become way too sensitive. Something, get over yourself. If you don't, just like they always said, if you don't like the channel on television, get up, change channel. If you don't like the comedy of a certain comic, a comedian, male, female, something, then either say, something, I just didn't like that joke, or just then don't watch the comic anymore. But for somebody to have to change their routine, or for somebody who has to apologize for something he or she said or did years ago, is preposterous.
Yeah.
What are we supposed to constantly walk through life, apologize for what we did years ago?
You have
I'm sorry, to Sharon out there, I won't use your last name. To Sharon, I'm very sorry I pushed you down in the playground when we were in third grade
That's
in Hebrew
right.
Academy.
That's
And
right.
you skinned your knees and you ripped your tights. I really hope you got over it, and then you're not going to still dwell on it. I mean, something? Get on with it. Things are funny. Politicians are funny. You have all these comedians who have always made a living off of politics and political jokes. That's just the way it is. So we're always going to find humor in it. The only things that I don't discuss in my stand-up, I try to shy away from anything political. Only for
because you're going to alienate half your audience.
True. Something, and there's some things I'm just like, something, it's not like I really take a position that much one way or the other that I really need to incorporate into my act. I find enough things funny. After being an attorney for so many years, there's just things that I find to be humorous that I've come across in my practice of dealing with people. Being married for many years, there's enough funny material that is universal to anybody who's married and dealing with a spouse or in-laws or, raising children.
What's funnier than divorce?
Right. Well,
Yeah.
Something. Listen, divorces are good. It's a start over. It's almost like bankruptcy. You wipe out all your debt. You wipe out your ex, your in-laws in one fell swoop of the judge's pen. And then hey, you start over again. Dating is always going to be something that's really funny and interesting, especially with these dating apps. I get a kick out of these dating apps because I make a joke about it because a lot of the people who put their pictures up on dating sites, and it goes for men and women, but I'm not on sites looking for women. So on the dating sites that I was looking through, a lot of it was for material, is that a lot of the photos that these men put up
From 1977.
not only that, there's like there's the guy who has like that one strand of hair that he does the wrap around, figuring he's going to cover his bald pate, and it doesn't work. Or you have people who post photos that they actually look at like their mugshots, and if it's not mugshots, they're really scary. You come across everything. Anything in life you can laugh about because we all deal with the same things. We all get up, we all eat, sleep, and poop. Before we start discussing religion and sexual orientation or politics, this is what unites us all. We eat, we sleep, and we poop.
That's
and for
right.
any one of those things, it's open territory, open season for jokes.
There you go.
But I'm enjoying doing the stand-up comedy. I've been doing it now for about 8 months.
And you have a big gig coming up.
I do. I have this Friday night, because I forgot to mention on my show, this Friday night at 7 p.m. at Westside Comedy Club in Manhattan. That is on West 72nd Street between Broadway and Amsterdam Avenue. I am going to be appearing there along with Dante Nero. He's a well-known comedian, and there's a number of others that I'm going to have to run through their names. But definitely come down. You can get tickets online. It is Westside Comedy, or come and purchase your tickets at the door. 6:30 p.m., 7 p.m. show, and it's easily accessible by train. Don't ask me which train because I drive, but you can find out. But it's going to be a lot of fun. Oh, and by the way, too, the food is incredible. It's downstairs at this comedy club called Westside Comedy, and the food from the restaurant that's upstairs I've heard is phenomenal. So food and drink, and it is $20 to come in, and please come down and see me. I just did a gig last week at Dangerfields, and that went really well. Prior to that, I was in the Fantastically Funny Females, which is an all-female comedy show that was put together by our friend Martin Shattuck. Hi, Martin. Martin's currently filming right now out in Philly, and Martin's been here on our show. And so Martin put this all-women comedy show together, so I did that at the Overlook. And then before that, I've been at Dangerfields and also at the comic strip under the tutelage of Gladys Simon.
And why the myth that women aren't funny? I mean, this goes back like decades in comedy. It's always been male dominated.
No, but women are very funny because, I mean, listen, we got to deal with men all the time, So first of all, we should get an award. But aside from that, but women are historically very funny. I mean, look at all the comedy.
Well, I grew up on Joan Rivers and Toady Fields,
right?
And
how about Carol Burnett?
Well, there was Stiller and Mira, husband
Lucille
and wife.
Ball.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
How about not only Stiller and Mira, but prior to that, you had Burns and Allen.
Yeah.
You always had very funny comedians.
But it's still been more male dominated.
It's male dominated. You had women writers, but you've had a lot of women comedians. What is her name that came out? Literally, she had her own talk show.
Yeah, I know.
We did Joan Rivers. I'm trying to think the other one. What?
Ellen DeGeneres.
Oh, thank you.
That was Antonio Jacobs, who will be performing later.
Thank you, Antonio.
Off camera.
Thank you, Ellen DeGeneres. We got a high off camera. Ellen DeGeneres. But I'm trying to remember the other one. Phyllis Diller.
Phyllis Diller, yeah.
Phyllis Diller, I love Phyllis Diller.
But speaking of that, in 2019,
right.
That would be politically incorrect. That she's demeaning her appearance. All the jokes are I'm ugly, and that wouldn't go over in 2019. The comedy police wouldn't go for that.
Yeah, but you say last night I went to a comedy club last night with my girlfriends to Eastville Comedy Club. Used to be in Manhattan. It's now in Brooklyn on Atlantic Avenue by 3rd Avenue. And you had there was a woman comic up there, Rachel Feinstein. So I'm giving a shout out to her. She was excellent. You have a lot of women in comedy these days, and you have a lot of women in comedy in sitcoms.
Oh yeah.
So there are a lot of women, but there are also a lot of women stand-up comedies. Sarah Silverman.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got my Steens and
who somebody threatened to kill. It's on social media. Speaking of comedy police, somebody threatened to kill Sarah Silverman.
That's crazy.
It's on social media
They also
today.
threatened to kill the other one, Kathy Griffin.
Kathy Griffin.
They've threatened to kill her because she had the head of President Trump, a bloody head of President Trump, and she held it up. And they basically shit-canned her career for a very long time.
Yeah, she's bounced back recently.
Same thing, Rosie O'Donnell. Rosie O'Donnell was one. And who's the other one just now? Oh, I am having a morning. I can't remember the name. She was on that TV series for the longest time, the sitcom.
It's a million sitcom.
Yeah. Thank you. Roseanne Barr. She was another one. She came out, stand-up comedy. She then went on to sitcom. And because of her comments politically...
So here's the big question.
I just stay away from political...
Yeah, if you're a big-time performer, whether it's a singer, rapper, actor, comedian, do you put your politics out there and potentially risk half your audience because America is totally divided?
Look what's happening with Robert De Niro. I'll give him as an example because it's all over social media that people are claiming that he should shut his mouth. He's very much anti-Trump, and he used the award show to voice his anti-Trump speech and comments where basically he said Trump could go F himself. And
De Niro's a big fan too. Yeah.
So he's very anti-Trump. But a lot of people in Hollywood are either very anti-Trump, very anti-NRA, very pro the changes that should be done in the gun laws. And the problem is, something, before you look at the fact that they're an actor, actress, Hollywood person, entertainer, they're an American citizen, they're a taxpayer, and they have family here, and they have children, and they have every much of a right as any one of us to voice our opinions, either pro or anti.
Well, I think it's brave because it will inevitably take money out of your pocket. Although once you've made your first couple of $100 million, it's safer. Samuel L. Jackson's like, my check was cashed already, fuck you, and I'm going to say what I want to say. So,
But it's also that these actors and actresses and musicians, they have a large audience. Look at Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift has a huge following, and she's always making political statements.
But you risk losing a portion of it.
Okay, but you know something, for the portion that you risk losing, you have all the other ones who are supporting you.
Yeah.
And so if you have a belief and you want to stand up for something, go back to the 60s and the 70s when you had Joan Baez, and you had a lot of other singers.
Well,
and
folk singers are coming from. That's what they do. You know, they're political to begin
They were
with.
political. They were anti-Vietnam. They were anti what happened with Kent State, and they sang about it. They wrote about it, and this was all, of course, before social media.
Right.
So you know the only way that you knew you were impacted was going to be by ticket sales, either from your record albums or from your concerts. But people have always used whatever mode that they were in to target their audience and say what was on their mind. They're able to reach a larger crowd because of social media than, for instance, the average person. What am I going to do? Stand on the steps of the courthouse and give out my opinion? I'll probably be arrested or, written up, for, disturbing the peace, because I can't do that in my job. Okay, I can do it if I want to through my show, on your show. I could do it through comedy, but I'm going to have a small audience. Where if you have somebody who's in Hollywood, who's an entertainer, they have a wider audience, and they feel that, something, I'm using my my job, my venue, my platform to reach people.
Tell you something you may or may not know. When Marvin Gaye did What's Going On, which
Right.
some people consider the greatest album ever made,
That's when
Berry
I was
Gordy
listening to that song the other day.
did not want to put it out initially because it was controversial. It was political, and
Right.
Marvin was a ballad singer and a sex symbol. And Berry Gordy, really had to be convinced to release the greatest album of all time. So sometimes the dollars are what's on people's minds and don't alienate folk. And it's a very political album.
But we're living in a very political world, and because of social media, we can reach more people for our message. And usually, you want it to be for the good. You want it to bring about social change, as opposed to looking to indoctrinate people for purposes of hatred and violence. So, social media is both a blessing and a curse.
Oh, yeah. I think America is seething, and it's the most divided it's been since the 60s and 70s, unfortunately.
It is unfortunate because you had riots in the street.
I think we're heading there. I really do. Anyway, on that happy note, do we have any film clips of you doing comedy so we can bring this up a little?
I was trying to get it over to Jim, and the only thing is, it's not clips. Right. It's actual videos that were taken of me performing.
Right. So why don't we take a quick commercial break, and we'll try to set that up.
Yes.
And we'll bring our singer, songwriter Antonio Jacobs on board as well, and we'll continue with the Evan Ginsburg Show in just a moment.
Thank you. Let me see if I can get this over to you now.
You want to join us?
Sure.
Nice to meet you.
Hi. What's your name again?
Pamela.
Pamela.
Hi. Hi. Forgot to-
I've got no ordinary plan. The things I dreamed of, forsaken I am damned. A distant calling draws me near. A faith is like
Say, you're Bobby Rivers, right? Bobby barely registers and nods while he looks around for women. I love how you beat Willie Dean tonight. I hate that guy. You know, I can't. Bobby looks at the bar and sees Willie Dean talking to two girls. Hey, Chris, kayfabe. He looks at the fan. Sorry, man, we stay here. There's going to be a fight. You know what I mean? Let's go, Chris. Chris asks, why didn't we stay? There wasn't going to be any fight. Listen, brother. Bert Ironside's rule number 1. Baby faces and heels do not socialize. Why? It's all about protecting the business. You don't tell your 5-year-old that there's no Santa Claus, and faces and heels do not sit in a bar full of marks drinking together. Kings of the Ring is the first audio drama podcast based on wrestling. Search Kings of the Ring from any podcast app or kingsotr.com.
The wrestling fan, you know, they loved you or they hated you. You know, if the fan loved you, they couldn't do enough for you. You know, they want to buy your meal, they want to buy your drink. I think it was one of the main reasons that, you know, whenever I stepped into the ring, I wanted to give back. I wanted to satisfy their reason for coming out and watching me wrestle.
I tell you what, I treated fans with respect and they loved me back. Whether I was a heel or a babyface, it didn't matter.
I learned right from the get-go with my parents that was to appreciate every single fan that you got, everyone. You know, I think that's one of the reasons I've had longevity in wrestling is that I always treated my fans with a lot of respect.
They wanted to kill me trying to get to my car, and they always knew I was in a Cadillac or something, and it was, you know, you were in fear for your life sometimes.
The New Jersey crowds were always great in the Boston Garden. It was dangerous at the Boston Garden.
The fans were believers in that era. They believed the doggone thing was real. And they were some of the fans were very violent.
I look back on it and I'm saying, well, you put up a lot of you know what. But you know something? That's what drove me to do it. Because the more those people hated me, more this I made.
I was being punched and kicked, and I was having beer thrown on me. I was being hit by chairs.
How angry do you want to make your wrestling fans? How much do you want to butcher up your baby faces until they're all bleeding and they're being beaten by 8 or 10 guys? I mean, how far can you push an audience before they lose it and then you have the Alamo kind of thing?
Play with people's heads, you know. You gotta play with their minds, you gotta play with them. Psychology. Because that's how you manipulate people. And that's what I do. That's what I did for a living. I manipulated you when you were a kid. I know I did. Because you probably didn't like me, or you might have liked me, because I was that way. And a lot of people did. A lot of people didn't. Thank you for the living I made at it, people. You were very good to me.
All right, we are back with the Evan Ginsburg Show, and joining us for our conversation, Antonio Jacobs, educator, musician, singer, songwriter. What am I missing?
I don't know. I'm just an all-around
Renaissance man. Renaissance man. There you go. And what was your take on the conversation as an artist? Do you feel you have to be careful on a stage, alienating a crowd in 2019?
I think it depends on what your audience is, who you think your audience is going to be, who you're targeting. You have to resonate with people who share the same belief system that you have. I don't think that you can change people's minds. I think all you can do is present whatever your belief system is, and hopefully other people resonate positively to it, unless you're the type of person who's looking to get some sort of visceral response from someone. So many people opt to say things that they know are going to upset others.
Wow. And there are some comics out there who really want to get that reaction, even if it's not love and laughter. They want to
Like fire everybody up.
yeah, I think so. I've seen that.
No, I know there've been very comics like that over the years, but something.
Lenny Bruce, one of the.
I something. I've never had the opportunity to see the show. Just recently, it was playing off Broadway or off Broadway in Manhattan. It was a story about Lenny Bruce, and I didn't get the opportunity to see that. And I only heard his name battered around from the time that I was younger, because he predates me, and I never had the opportunity. I heard that he was very early and ahead of his time, where like if there was a Lenny Bruce right now, that he would be perfect.
Well, the Mount Rushmore of comedy was always Lenny Bruce and Richard Pryor and George Carlin and possibly Chris Rock, possibly selling out arenas, but Lenny Bruce was right up there.
Well, you know who was up there too? You had Alan King, and then there was the other one. You had a number of George Carlin. George Carlin was phenomenal.
Yeah, I said
very, very thought-provoking. He also brought up politics and social injustices and everything that was going on in the world, because he wanted to bring everyone's attention to it. And he was absolutely terrific. And he kind of showed the absurdity of everything.
Yeah. George Carlin, he kind of saw the government as like this vast corporation.
But it is.
Exactly. Yeah.
Something, we're all automatons in the corporate world. We're just like little cogs along the wheel. Robert Klein
was great.
Right,
He's still
Robert
out
Klein.
there.
Yeah, he's still out there.
Yeah.
I remember seeing Robert Klein. I mean, so my parents loved comedy, and in the business that my dad was in, he was working with a custom jeweler. So he met so many famous entertainers and sports figures that I was able to meet from a very young age. Frank Gorshin, George Kirby. I met Dr. J, Julius Irving, when I was just a little kid. And
when you think funny, you think Dr. J.
No, I'm just saying, like,
I'm kidding.
I met Robert Klein,
Yeah.
but it was everybody who was in my dad's circle from doing all the custom jewelry. So I met a lot of these people. But there's always going to be entertainers and comics who are going to talk political, and then you're going to have other ones that want to avoid the politics.
Yeah, if you have somebody like a Jeff Foxworthy would probably lean on the opposite end of that spectrum politically wise.
Sure.
Not going to say anything that's going to. Well, I look at comedy like this. There's two different types of comedy. You're either making fun of yourself or you're making fun of others. Those are the only really kinds of comedy that there are.
Or the ones who focus more on, like politics, being like a political commentator, like the ones who have the TV shows at night.
Yeah, that's making fun of other people. It's, politics, if you're going to go into politics, you're usually making fun of other people.
Okay, that's a good way of looking at it.
Is.
But if you're making fun of yourself, something, you're not really offending anybody.
Maybe
if you're that offensive, then you're getting out there in front of a microphone and going,
Right.
"Hi, I'm offensive. Love me or hate me." Buy a ticket to my show. You make that decision.
So, what do you think of the theory that most comics are tortured human beings?
We all have issues. I look at it this way, now that I'm doing stand-up comedy, it's a release.
Cathartic.
It is, rather than pay somebody $150 an hour to lay on the couch and start talking about whatever's bothering me, what I like, don't like, how I think it's affecting me, I'd rather just be on stage for 10 minutes, and if I'm poking fun at myself or at the situation, or half the time it's not even about me, it's just a general situation, it's very refreshing. I enjoy making other people laugh. I really do. It's a great feeling. It's escaping. After a hard day at work, I'm not going out there, I'm not drinking to excess, I'm not vaping or smoking or doing anything that's going to be harmful. So going out there and making other people laugh, I find
you're
makes
not
me feel
shooting
good.
up a large group of people.
No, I'm not.
Right.
I'm also, something I actually had to curtail myself from an addiction that I have. It's called SA. It's a stiletto addiction.
Yeah.
Shoes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I realize now doing stand-up comedy it's healthier, and it's also less expensive than my shoe addiction.
There you go. There you go. Imelda Marcos here.
In training.
Yeah. There you go. So why don't we show that clip? Set up the clip.
Okay. This is a clip from, I believe I was at the comic strip, and this is a short clip when I was doing a stand-up gig at the comic strip in New York under the tutelage of Gladys Simon. So everybody sit back, enjoy, and hope you laugh, and you don't get offended. And if you get offended, so be it. It's comedy.
Get offended, too bad.
Suck it up, people. It's a joke.
Defense attorney by day, funny lawyer by night. Well, exciting news. I'm in today's New York Daily News on page 18.
Right.
So I officially, as
Let's start this over.
attorney by day, funny lawyer by night. Well, exciting news. I'm in today's New York Daily News on page 18.
All right, and we are back, and that was the art of Pam Roth. And Pam, anything you want to plug? In just a few minutes, we're going to hear a live set from Antonio Jacobs, but anything else you want to plug?
Well, what you saw was a sampling of the comedy stylings of Pamela Roth, and over the years as a defense attorney, my practice has actually ranged from representing masturbators to murderers with mobsters in between.
That's a show right there. Masturbators to murderers, the Pam Roth story.
Right.
Yeah,
I get them off.
That's right. That's right.
And I get their cases dismissed.
Yeah, yeah.
So I've had an interesting, I've had very interesting things happen over the course of my practice with types of cases, and it's just, to me, it's funny. There was a man I was representing, for instance, in a divorce, that when I asked him to list the marital assets, he came in and he had horrendous handwriting. It looked like hieroglyphics. So I'm trying to understand what this list was. I said, so I'm going through the whole list, boat, house, stocks, bonds, jewelry, fur coat, and then it said tots, and I'm like, tots? What's tots? He goes, no, tits. I go, excuse me?
Yeah.
I'm like, I asked you to list marital property. He goes, well, I paid for them. I want them back. It's marital property.
Wow.
I go, no. See, she had surgery and had them put in, so you don't get those back. And he actually considered her breast implants to be marital property since he paid for them. And
Huge surprise they're having issues.
Yeah,
Wow.
thanks.
Wow.
So I mean, when you have a situation like that, something, it's just something that's comical. So as far as I have the upcoming show this coming Friday night at Westside Comedy Club on West 72nd Street in Manhattan. That's between Broadway and Amsterdam Avenue. Show starts at 7 p.m. Doors open at 6:30. It's a 2-drink or food minimum. I believe it's $20 to get in. You can go to their website, Westside Comedy, or just come down on Friday night. I hope to see you there, all my fans and friends and supporters. Come see me. It's a really terrific lineup. One of the well-known comics that's there is Dante Nero. Sorry, Dante, had a little slip there. Dante Nero. Dante has performed before. I've actually seen Dante on stage when he performed for Martin Shattuck's birthday with Martin a couple months ago at Broadway Comedy Club. So he's going to be there along with a number of other, well-known comics and a number of us who are so-called breaking in. And then I have upcoming dates for September and October. We don't have the dates totally solid yet, but stay tuned. I will post them. And that's going to be 2 shows coming up, one in September, one in October at Dangerfields.
Did you ever consider doing a one-woman show instead of stand-up? Small intimate theater, and talk about your life, and you could call it Masturbators to Murderers or whatever, the Pam Roth story. Because a one-woman show is a very different thing than doing a stand-up set, but it sounds like you have a lot of stories you could be telling.
Oh, honestly, I would love to do that. I spoke with somebody, and she said that she finds me to be like a very younger version of, say, Fran Drescher from The Nanny.
Right.
And she goes, Pam, you are a character. And she said, you're like the so-called mob lawyer. And she goes, you're just very funny. You have such great stories to tell from people and encounters that I've had over the years. And she herself says, she also said the same thing. She goes, either I should be in a sitcom or I should do like a one-woman show.
Yeah, instead of a 20-minute set, flesh it out to like a 60-minute show.
Oh, I could definitely do
that. I could see that.
Well, you got to come to one of my shows.
I absolutely have to. It's been a rough few months. My wife had a hip replacement. It's been crazy, but I definitely want to. But I could see that. I could really see that. And then all eyes are on you instead of you being one of 6 comedians.
Right. And then I don't have to worry so much about time. When they give you the light, you get the 1-minute light.
Right.
So I'm either doing, like, say, a 7-minute set, 9-minute set. It all depends. So you're focused on your material, but at the same time too, you got to be cognizant of the fact that, well, when I get that light, I got 1 minute to wrap up whatever I'm working on, and I can't start like another bit because you don't want to leave them hanging. Last thing you ever want to do when you represent the masturbator is leave him hanging.
That's
literally.
right.
You gotta get off, gotta get on, get off, and move on.
That's right. That's right.
But no, I'm looking forward to that. I've had a lot of interesting things happen in life, and to what brought me to where I am, as a criminal defense attorney, and I've been a mentor to younger women, and telling them, definitely stay in school, get your education. There's always time for boyfriends, husbands, and babies, because once you start off on that path as a young woman without finishing your education, it makes it that much harder for you to continue your education. So I've been a mentor, but I got to tell you, I really enjoy the stand-up comedy. I really enjoy making people laugh. It makes me feel so good.
That's awesome.
And it's a high, It's it really is, because you get all caught up in it. I really enjoy it.
And tell us quickly about your show, your radio show.
I have my show on Sunday mornings here at VillageConnectionNetwork.com, and that's at 10 a.m. and it's live. It's called The Justice Hour, And my topics range and my guests range from performers to other attorneys. I've covered topics as far as matrimonial topics with attorney colleague Conchetta Spirio. I've covered immigration issues with another attorney friend and colleague, Antonio Martinez. And I've had a wine connoisseur that came on, which was
Showbiz
fun.
greats.
Showbiz greats, authors, artists. We have art hanging here, Ed Heck. I've had phenomenal comedians. My dear Angel Salazar, everyone knows as Chi-Chi, get the yo-yo from Scarface.
Yeah.
I've had Lilo Brancato on the show. I've had numerous wonderful people on the show, and I'm very blessed to continue having my show here with Jim. So, Jim, thank you.
There you go.
And because of the show, I met you. So, I mean, it's fantastic.
Absolutely.
It's all about the Benjamins, and it's all about the connections.
Pam Roth, lawyer, stand-up comic, radio hostess, Renaissance woman.
And fabulous, loving mother to my son.
That's right, which is not easy. But he seems like a good kid from everything you've told me.
He is. He's wonderful. He's going to be starting 12th grade. And so...
single mom with a teenager in high school, not easy.
Yeah, but you know something, doing it, and we got a wonderful, supportive dad. Michael's wonderful. And you know something, between the two of us, we're raising a really terrific, well-mannered, intelligent, kind, loving son.
Wow.
So I'm very happy. I'm very blessed.
She endorsed them. My pleasure. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you. And stay tuned, everybody, because we're going to have the musical genius of Antonio.
That's right. Let me just do a quick couple of plugs while Antonio's still setting up. 350 Days, the documentary. Bret Hart, superstar Billy Graham, yours truly, the associate producer. Check it out, 350daysthemovie.com. We have coming up a huge wrestling card that I'll actually be performing on with Team Splendid. This is Astoria's Rumble for the Gold. It's Saturday, August 24th. And this is at Catch, K-A-T-C-H, in Astoria, 3119 Newton Avenue, Saturday, August 24th. Doors at 6 p.m., only $20. Come see some live wrestling. I'll be in the ring antagonizing the fans. We're the heels. And that should pretty much do it. We're going to take a pretty brief commercial timeout while Antonio sets up, and then we're going to meet and hear from Antonio Jacobs in just a bit. All right, returning to the show, our good friend Antonio Jacobs, and tell us what's been happening since the last time you were on.
Oh my goodness, so much has been going on. Let me see. Since the last time I was here, I don't know, when was I here last? Was that
maybe a year ago? I lose track of time. Ago?
Yeah. So let me see. So my lung collapsed last year. So I spent Father's Day in the hospital. Broke my knee a little bit, and
broke your knee a little bit.
A little bit. It just makes the arthritis a little bit more happy. Let's see. I did release an album called Hope, which was in memory of my wife who passed away from metastatic breast cancer in 2017. And I was working on some new music, but in June I had a fire at my house and everything was destroyed. All my studio equipment was destroyed. So just trying to rebuild from that. Have been trying to do gigs. I've been playing throughout the city. Been playing open mics in the city. And tonight I have a slot at the Knitting Factory.
Yeah, world famous Knitting Factory.
Yeah, they're doing something called a Sunday Fun Day. It's going to be a showcase of singer-songwriters who are up and coming, myself included. And if you're not doing anything, come on down. I had to buy a bunch of seats. So if you're not doing anything, I might still have some extra open slots. All you have to do is reach out to me on social media, either Facebook or Instagram, and let me know that you're coming down. My friends, my fans, those people who follow me, you're invited to come out. I will pay for your ticket. Oh yeah, the Knitting Factory. The Knitting Factory in Brooklyn. I'll hook you up. So, yeah. It's it's been a pretty contentious 2 years for me. But
so what do you think when you go on Facebook and somebody's whining about some minuscule problem? My boss said something to me or whatnot, and you've been to hell and back. I mean, how do you react to people's everyday minor problems?
It's important to them. It matters to them. So if they feel like they need to talk about it, they should.
Okay.
We live in a country where freedom of speech is one of our rights, and so I wouldn't shut anybody down about anything that they consider serious to them.
What about when somebody says, "I'm infuriated that they changed the actor playing Batman or Superman"?
Like I said, that's whatever is there. I'm an optimist. I look at this world like as long as the Mets are winning games, when the New York Mets are playing and winning games, as long as people are creating music, as long as you've got a guy who's sitting there writing poetry in the middle of Washington Square Park, as long as people keep having babies, we're going to be okay as a society. There are things that we can continue to work at. And we just have to let this 45th president blow over. It's going to self-destruct on its own, I think.
Wow. You're a good man. You have more patience with people than I do.
So I'm just not patient with myself. I started to come here today, and I was being very stubborn. I'm like, I'm just going to walk to the station.
I've done it. It's 1.6 miles. But you have equipment with you. It's not easy.
I have all of this equipment, and I do not have my car today. So I wound up walking about 1.5 miles in the wrong direction, and then just broke down and called a taxi cab.
Wow.
So
it's the wrong direction part that was painful. Yeah. Anyway, Antonio, tell us about what we're going to hear.
Okay, so I've got all this equipment. It made very little sense for me to carry it around and not play it. So I did bring it. I will be playing all of this stuff tonight. Hopefully with the idea that the next gig will be bigger and I'll be able to hire musicians. I'm gonna do all original material. This is stuff that's available online, either through Spotify or CD Baby or Amazon and all of those places that people consume music these days. So I'm gonna just do a few tunes. I'm gonna start with the guitar.
Okay.
And then we'll see.
Antonio
if we can get
Jacobs.
we'll see if we can get the keyboard in there at some point. Let's try this one. I see her all the time 'cause we ride on the same train. I can tell she's real pretty even though she dresses plain. I wanna let her know I love her, but I don't even know her name. I'm completely taken by the girl with the Roman nose. Oh, 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 oh. I can hear her laughing as she's reading her magazine. I can tell she's a sweet person, if you know what I mean. I wanna let her know I like her, but I don't know how that would seem. I'm completely taken by the girl with the Roman nose. Oh, 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 oh. I screwed up my courage the other day to face my fears and say what I gotta say. I gotta put it all on the line, come what may. I gotta do it before this opportunity goes away. I can smell her perfume even as I leave the gate. I can sense we're meant to be together, sorta like fate. I wanna go up to her and say hi and ask her on a date. I'm completely taken by the girl with the Roman nose. Oh, 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 oh. I screwed up my courage the other day to face my fears and say what I gotta say. I gotta put it all on the line, come what may. I gotta do it before this opportunity goes away. I see her all the time 'cause we ride on the same train. But she's dressed differently today. I know something has changed. I hope I haven't missed my opportunity. I only have myself to blame. 'Cause I'm completely taken by the girl with the Roman nose. Oh, oh, oh. Oh, 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 oh.
Bravo!
What else we got? How about I do Time? That first song is called Roman Nose. That's going to be on my next project. Haven't had an opportunity to record that the way I want it yet, but I'll get to it. This one is called Time. An instant, a jiffy, a second, a minute, a moment, an hour, a day, a week, a fortnight, a common month, a season, a year, a biennium, a lustrum, a decade, a generation, a lifespan, a century, a millennium, a terasecond, a mega annum, an age, an epoch, an era. How long does it take for a sun to orbit the galaxy and beyond the life of a star, the age of the universe? Time waits for no man. Tempest future, you got all the time in the world. You should use it. Time is on your side. It is against us. Take your time and hurry up. It contradicts us. Clocks and watches, timepieces and chronometers, hourglasses and sundials, rulers and monitors. When you're having fun, time is a shaky barometer, like taking your temperature with the parameter. Don't take time, I won't waste yours. You can't change time, it has been done before. Past is memories, failings is now. The present, future isn't written. You control the how. I'm getting older every day while I still stay the same. You take all the credit while I take all the blame. Flip the script and get your fortune and your fame. You can stake your claim. Come on and take the game. Tick tock like a clock, there we go. Don't be slow. Pick your bearings, which way should you go? There are so many things you'll never know. You got a ways to go, you got a long way to go. But a house cannot stand without a foundation. You should go to work, don't go on vacation. Consume your career path, choose your vocation. It's your contemplation, it's your contemplation. An instant, a jiffy, a second, a minute, a moment, an hour, a day, a week, a fortnight, a common month, a season, a year, a biennium, a lustrum, a decade, a generation, a lifespan. An instant, a jiffy, a second, a minute, a moment, an hour, a day, a week, a fortnight, a common month, a season, a year, a biennium, a lustrum, a decade, a generation, a lifespan, a century, a millennium, a terasecond, a mega annum, an age, an epoch, an era. How long does it take for our sun to orbit the galaxy and beyond the life of a star, the age of the universe? Thank you. Let's see here. Oh, okay. This one's a little complicated. I'll try it though. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna buy me a condo. I'm gonna buy me a Cuisinart. I'll make the wall-to-wall carpeting. I'll get the wallet full of credit cards. Hey, I'm gonna buy me a condo. Never have to put it on. Oh, I'm gonna get me the t-shirt with the alligator on. I used to live in Jamaica, but I don't live there no more. I have to change my lifestyle, the things I've never done before.
and I am just a lonely Rasta man living in this American town. I'm gonna sell all my Bob Marley records. I'm gonna get me some Jackson Brown. I'm bitter. Whoops. Let's try that again. Do I have any sound? No, because we can't hear it through this at the same time that I'm playing, right? So there's no sound, yeah?
I don't hear it at all, bro.
This is live radio, folks.
It's the beautiful part of live radio.
Well, I can always shift gears. Play it this way. Let's see. I saw it in a cartoon once, and I think I can do it. Let's see here. That'll do. I'm not bitter, well maybe just a little, 'cause I know I can't watch those award shows without the bile rising in my throat. It gets my goat that I don't get the same recognition for the mission all of us creative types embarked on so long ago. And I know I had something to say, but it seems to never be that way. I talk, nobody listens. Why possess the speech and not the soapbox? I'm trying to put down the pen, but then the music started calling again. I tried to lead a normal life, to give my kids and my wife with a regular job, but unfortunately for me, I may be a brilliant musician, but I'm not in a position to express my wonderful ideas. I penned dozens of potential hits, filled with juicy bits that will never hear a crowd of cheers. I worked hard, paid the dues, played the blues, played those penny gigs for all of these years. But the artists are all on top, never pause to stop to think of them before the grace from God go our careers. What makes me sad is that I'm not the only one who's had a dream deferred while others' lines blurred. Popular music used to require skill, and now it nearly needs ill will or brashness. Only 2% of us are represented by the media, properly rewarded for our efforts, while the rest of us scrounge for loose change and coupons for an hour in a drafty studio. You get discouraged, walk away from this life, but inspiration haunts you like a stalker in the night. Want nothing better than to put that X down, but the sound it makes is a siren call. I may be a brilliant musician, but I'm not in a position to express my wonderful ideas. I've penned dozens of hits filled with juicy bits that will never hear a crowd of cheers. I worked hard, paid my dues, played the blues, played those penny gigs for all of these years. But the artists who are on top never pause to stop to think there before the grace from God go our careers. Forgiving but not infallible, our masses remain so gullible. If you got a platform, please tell the truth, so our youth are not led astray. Forgiving but not infallible, our masses remain so gullible. If you got a platform, please tell the truth, so our youth are not led astray.
Antonio Jacobs. Anything else you'd like to plug, Antonio?
Okay, so tonight I've got the Knitting Factory. It's a big step for me. We've been doing places like the Delancey and Uptown. I did a few gigs up at Parnell's, and maybe I'll give my hand at some comedy. I've been doing some open mics, so I might try my hand out at comedy as well. Just anything goes, I suppose, these days. I'm working on an album project. Once I can get my studio stuff back together, I'll be able to get that going. Everybody can follow me on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. I'm listed as Black Leader.
And spell that.
BLACKLIEDER. As in the art songs from the 19th century, except it's 21st century now. And we do something different. So,
Oh, yeah. Antonio Jacobs, thank you so much for appearing. Appreciate it. Thank you. And that'll about do it, Jim. Anything you want to plug? Anything new at the station?
No, I'm just getting over my surgery, so grateful to be among the walking again.
Yeah, my wife also. First
Yes,
week,
good for her, man. It's tough.
She's still in pain. But,
Yeah, me too. It sucks.
My wife had a hip replacement July 1st. It's
rough.
a rough stretch. But
Yeah, man. I'm glad she's doing good though, because it's
Jim had
definitely
9 surgeries in 3 years. Wow. Spinal surgeries.
Yeah. But now I'm fit as a fiddle, so
There you go. There you go. It's nice to see you not hobbling around.
Oh man, I can't even believe it got that bad. So to come back from that, it's been unbelievable. Because I really didn't think it was going to happen. I had a new surgeon who was able to do some things, and thank God,
So I guess the theme here is people overcoming various
There we go.
adversities.
There we go. That's the name of this show.
My wife was in a car wreck in Korea. Then she was hit by a car in New York. And
Jeez.
eventually her hip just went and she couldn't walk. She hasn't worked in like a half year. So then on top of it, you get cabin fever because, you're stuck in the house.
Oh, yeah.
And so this was the first week she didn't need a cane at certain points.
Nice.
So people go through various things, and Antonio could certainly tell you about that. It's
Yeah.
Come to my show. I'll tell you all about
it. 9 surgeries in 3 years. That has to be some kind of record.
I thought it was. I thought it was, but I know people who have beaten it. I've seen and talked to people. It's just, it takes a little while to recover from a surgery, not just from the surgery itself, but from the anesthesia and all of that, So to go in and out of that, 9 times in 3 years was just a lot, It's just, I had enough. I'm done.
Well, I'm not just saying this, but I sincerely believe that luck runs in cycles.
Yep.
So hopefully everybody here
August
is going to have a
be
better cycle.
August is going to be the month of healing. August. What do you think? We could do that.
Yeah.
I think it started out poorly.
Oh no!
Well,
So
September's your cycle.
Was horrible. No, but like I said before, I'm an optimist.
Yep.
So
You gotta
I always
be.
try to look at the brighter side of things, even if it just seems like completely.
Okay, so that water bottle on Jim's desk, is that half full or half empty?
It's actually 3/4 full, I think.
Okay.
It's got water in it. It's got water.
So it's half full.
Yeah. It's got something in it that I could drink.
And it also has air in it too. So it's the best of both worlds.
There you go.
Its own little.
That's an old teacher trick. Is the glass half full or half empty? Figure out where the kids' heads are at.
And it's like, I would just simply take the glass and drink the water.
Right.
That's even better. Even better. Cut to the chase.
Now it's all the way empty.
There you go. Antonio Jacobs. Jim, is there any way we could get his keyboard working, or should we wrap it
I
up?
would love to. I don't understand why it's not. I'm not familiar with his keyboard. You got it right in the output, right?
Regular output.
Let's just try this again. Go ahead. Press the key or two. No, see, I don't understand why it's not.
Should I try the other output?
Yeah, try the other output.
Let's try the other output. Yeah, I should try the phone's jack, perhaps. Anything?
No.
Try the phone.
I just feel bad.
Live. Oh man, I really feel bad.
Yeah, well, I have to take it to Brooklyn anyway, so I have to go from Huntington to Brooklyn somehow without a vehicle. I'm living that kind of life.
Take the LIR to Barclays.
It's not.
Yeah, and then I have to take the G train from there.
Oof.
Yeah, you have a full day ahead of you.
Yeah.
All right. So the keyboard's a lost cause.
Unless I plug it into this amp.
Try it real quick. If not, we'll wrap it up. Don't worry.
Okay.
This is live radio, folks. We're doing live on-air sound checks.
Let me take this off.
So
let's just see.
while he's doing this, Let me.
And you can keep asking me questions.
I can keep asking him questions.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I've got so many.
What's the worst thing that ever happened to you on stage? I was once doing radio. We had a complete blackout 4 a.m. at WBAI. We just sat in the dark for an hour.
Let me see. The worst thing that's ever happened to me on stage. Well,
not getting the keyboard to work on a radio show.
The most memorable thing that's ever happened to me on stage was I was in high school, and I was performing the national anthem for a big ceremony. I think it was.
That's the one that goes, Jose, can you see? Right?
Yes.
It's all J-O-S-E.
It's all about the Mexicans. So, Francis Scott Key wrote it, and I was singing it, and I was doing pretty well. It was like my big moment, senior year. I'm like, all the girls are gonna love me now. You know?
Yeah.
And
nothing turns on girls more than the national anthem.
I got to the land of the free part, and my voice cracked.
Oh.
And I just finished very sheepingly, and just tried to just not be seen for the rest of senior year.
Much of us in junior high weren't that intelligent, so we would all sing "Jose, can you see?" We thought those were the lyrics. Really, I'm not kidding.
Now I'm an expert at singing the national anthem, but no, I never get an opportunity to actually
there you go.
Play.
There
I never
you
get
go.
an opportunity to actually to play, so it doesn't work out. Let's see. Let me see. Okay, so I can describe what my life has been like in a song. So I'm going to set this up.
The name of the song is Hellish.
This song is called "Make It Work."
Okay.
I was watching.
That's more positive than my title.
Yeah, I was watching. Is that it? Let me just. I just don't understand it. Gas prices have gotten so high. Doesn't make any sense to me. There's a that I've seen in my career. Nothing that I'm putting down is really moving in. Thought I was blessed with some sort of kind of ear. But then lately, it is no benefit. Then you spare waiting so patiently. But nothing's happening. It's staying together, thick and thin. Where's the thick of it? What we gonna do? What must I do to make this work for you? After all we managed, tired of the struggle, and I know that so will you. I don't understand it. Try to live a life of honesty, of never shortcutting it. Working 7 to 3, always made my paychecks legitimately. But tempted to do other things to compensate. What do I have to show for my advanced degrees? An empty bank account, a new bill every week. When times are slow, you hold me down. But the stress is killing me. What must I do to make this work for you? I don't understand it. What must I do to make things right for you? I don't know. What must I do to make things right for you? I can't fight this feeling. I can't take it no more. I have a frustration. Why can't I make ends meet? Will I have to break the law this week? I don't know. I don't understand it. What must I do to make this work for you? I don't understand it. What must I do to make things right for you? I have a frustration. Why can't I make ends meet? Do I have to rob a bank? Do I have to hold a brother up to let them know I'm serious? Oh, oh,
Oh, all right. Antonio Jacobs, thank you so much for appearing on the show. And
Thank you.
We're running about 20 minutes late, so we must wrap it up. But thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And that how about do for the Evan Ginsburg Show? Village Connection Radio, Jim Savali at the helm. Thank you, Jim. Glad you're feeling better.
Thank you.
And check out Antonio tonight at the Knitting Factory in Brooklyn. Don't miss him.
Sir.
There you go.
That all dead, the lines cut off inside my head. I left here like a broken man, with no idea of where I stand. Oh, my mind clears. Lord, I shed all my tears. Oh, now baby, I was just waiting here while you moved on. Security, this newfound freedom you kept from me. The sound of all your loaded gun. This outbreak war has just begun. The sound of all your loaded gun. This broken man has already won. Oh.